Una noche tranquila bajo la protección de espina de Rosula.
Paimon slept so well. This place feels almost too safe. Huh? Navia? Where did the other two go?
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina de Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters. There's not much for them to do here at the moment.
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back. But never mind that. When did you get back? Were you waiting here the whole time?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigating yesterday regarding the name Vache.
Wait, so you didn't sleep at all?
How could I after having such critical new evidence appear?
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for everyone just now, huh?
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. It doesn't seem to have a match anywhere.
Te apuesto 1000 veces que el jefe es ese, el Basher, el Basher.
I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But that does prove that this Vache person is a key witness in the incident.
Does that mean we're too late, though?
No. There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would find almost impossible to threaten. No, and that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Neuvillette. A place where detailed files on all the cases in recent years are kept. If the Osea that you met is one of the young women who went missing recently, we should be able to find some related information there.
Pero necesitarías una audiencia con él,
So
me imagino
Neuvillette
yo.
maintains an archive of case files? Whew. Guess that's the hard-working Chief Justice for you. In that case, let's go talk to him, shall we? Aren't you coming along, Navia? Did you get tired?
No, it's nothing. Let's go see the Honorable Chief Justice.
¿En serio? ¿Se va a poder así de jajas? Sí, yo voy a subir, ¿vale? Procedo a subir.
The palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Le mueve cosas el Neuvillette a la Navia. Pues él como interrumpió a la mitad del juicio, yo creo que ese es el miedo que tiene. Y que dices que le interrumpí su juicio y se está enojado conmigo, se me va a poner intenso, no quiero.
Time to act.
Pa' allá.
Halt! Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official matters.
Huh. This place does look pretty heavily guarded. Guess that proves that Neuvillette's files are really secure.
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you might be related to. Our rules make no exceptions.
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. Paimon can tell.
If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy, so please leave if you don't have a reason to be here.
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago? We were at the trial of the great magician Linny.
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Linny's attorneys. It's all coming back to me now.
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business. You can trust us.
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Thanks so much.
Yep. Bueno, nos tocará con este gran señor. Permiso.
Please come in.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Me presento. Con la waifu suprema. Ok. Hola. Voy pasando, déjeme ver su cuartito. Ok, está bonito, está padre, está cool también.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Nervalet. We only like to get in because we...
It's all right.
Ay, upsi, perdón.
Please let me know how I may be of assistance to you.
Insisto, si cierras los ojos y te imaginas cada vez que hable Nobilita, que sea Son, o sea, que esté hablando Sonli, o sea, es Only. Es Only.
So you're not mad at us?
We're looking for a man called Vache. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may be able to unearth some key information on the case.
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse through the files.
Es un poco más grave la voz de Sonli, pero están muy igualitos. En inglés sí tienen tonos similares. Osman Tuzman. Me sigue a todos lados de ese señor.
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vache has been involved in any case, criminal or civil, in the past several years.
Qué raro, ¿no?
There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
¿Memoria? Como si alguien hubiera entrado al árbol de Sumeru y borrado tu memoria. Seguimos igual que al principio.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
En japonés se hace un desastre si ya conoces a los actores y qué personajes hacen. Ah, sí. Sí me han comentado.
Is that so? All right then. Thank you so much, Monsieur Neuvillette.
Mira, yo le sigo con el inglés porque la verdad también le dan mucho. O sea, me gusta las voces que ponen aquí. Más aparte, no. El deíto, es que el deíto, adoro el deíto, en serio. El que dobló a Ito en inglés es una bestia. Mil respetos. O sea, toda la personalidad de Ito es
Navia,
en la voz principalmente.
Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man. We deeply regret his passing.
And what are you trying to say, Monsieur Neuvillette?
Sí, recordemos que él fue el que técnicamente lo levantó como culpables. Prácticamente está viendo al que enjuicia a su padre.
Extend your sympathy? Or just express some tendril of regret?
Diablos.
No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only said those things because you felt like you should.
Damn.
It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you as a last resort. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws you hold so dear.
Diablos.
If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you call a stop to the duel?
Ay, no puede ser. Navia.
Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die, despised and hated by all? Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiniest effort could have changed everything. There are still so many things I never got to tell him. So many questions he still owes me answers to. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will show you the true meaning of regret.
No puede, porque sí tiene sentimientos. Es sensitive.
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart and never say a word to anyone. It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well the apathy of the Chief Justice. My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
Ay, pobrecito. Me está dando pena Nubilet. Todo el mundo lo toma como un ser sin sentimientos cuando parece ser que es el ser con más sentimientos. toda, toda la nación. Aparte de Navia.
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's raining.
Nubilet está llorando.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active trials today. How strange.
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder, it was also raining.
La lluvia.
What is it? Did you think of something?
¿Lo de tu padre ocurrió en un lugar interior o exterior?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? Do you think the rain could have affected the crime scene? That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value.
Sí, pero en ese momento les faltaba un dato importante.
Wait.
No sabías que la gente se podía convertir en agua.
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water and then got washed away with the rain? Yeah, and if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained.
Nadie entiende ni Violet, se pone a llover. No.
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're completely right. How did I not connect the dots earlier? All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom of my father's case for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time.
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later?
Hay que poco perder. Vamos ahora.
Great. Let's go then.
La Poisson.
Whoa, what a huge ship! Why would a ship be anchored at a place like this?
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, it's actually Spina di Rosula's headquarters.
Ya tiene sentido ahora porque toda su ropa tiene relacionado como si fuera un navío.
My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally had in common. A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
Creo que lo entiendo.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a glorious past. Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the
Oh my god.
stars.
Irving Star, muchísimas gracias por la raid. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo se la pasaron en su directo? Muchas gracias por la raid.
But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself, she's been convinced.
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all.
Buenas noches.
Our main
Buenas
base,
noches.
our home.
Ah, tú lo trajiste. Eso fue lo que pasó. Ya llevamos 5 horas y media de directo. Estamos rompiendo récord. Creo que no había hecho directo tanto tiempo. Pero oye, no me estoy muriendo de sueño. Y ya son pasado de la 1 de la mañana. Vamos de maravilla. Fue el té verde que me tomé hace poco. Ahorita me da el bajo. No es como que también trajera Dracul. Ah, sí es cierto, tú también te trajiste Dracul. Tremendo, muchas gracias por todo tu apoyo. Apareces, te me desapareces, pero vuelves a aparecer. Eres como Houdini. Y el mago lo hizo de nuevo. Con la waifu, con la waifu, waifu, waifu. Así cosa cuando eso pasa. No, hombre, si damos frechugas como lescos. ¿Qué onda?
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners. You said before that you still had
¿Cuál
some
gracias se
business at the
encuerece? No,
court.
mentira, se le quiere
What
mucho.
brings you back to Poisson so
Está
quickly?
bien. Por cierto, ya debería de empezar a planear lo que es el traje de Navidad para Lola. Tal vez mañana o pasado mañana hago un directo, pero en el otro canal de diseño, para estar haciendo ahí la skin de Lola en invierno.
About that, it's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, what if my father's case had something to do with water from the primordial sea?
Se vende el número de Shadi. 5 pesitos. No, Jumps, no.
You still remember, right, Malus? On that night, it was raining?
Yo no he avanzado la historia del Genshin PvP y me falta mucho. Es un chingo. Vale, doy 10.
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible murders.
¿El culpable podría ser la misma persona?
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity in Poisson.
Synth.
At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant hallucinations.
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water
Jumps.
could be used to produce
No.
some kind of potion?
Voy a tener que cambiar mi celular, ¿eh?
Yes,
Estoy viendo.
it did.
Si empiezo a recibir
Considering what we
cosas
know
que...
now,
No.
It's almost certain that synth is created using water from
Como
the
que este
primordial
no es tu
sea.
canal. No, este es mi canal principal. El otro canal de Twitch que tengo, la verdad lo tengo muy abandonado. Creo que tiene 2 meses desde que la última vez lo utilicé y debo de retomarla. Nada más que ese es en inglés. Ese lo quiero hacer en inglés. Por eso. PvP ya no quiso.
If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotions.
Drogas, señores, son drogas. Creí que eso lo habíamos dejado en Sumeru. Con el cilantro. No.
And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. It's an extremely dangerous substance. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and called for a complete ban of it.
Ahí le prometo a mi hermano quiere bonito. What?
Boss's uncompromising attitude
Cuida.
incurred the synth vendor's wrath, but no matter how much they threatened or bribed him, he refused to yield.
Ya me agüité. Pi. Bueno.
Not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an end to the problem once and for all.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers, all of whom only sold the stuff and weren't privy to the rest of the operation. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. Finally, he was able to convince someone to become his informant.
Yo sacando provecho esto.
The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate.
Oh my god.
He planned to meet up
No
and
me había
exchange
seguido y
information with
reinstar.
Jacques over
Ok,
some
ok.
food.
Muchas gracias por el pueblo. Bienvenido a la comunidad.
But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was already dead on the ground.
happen? Aren't they on the same side?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive at all. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the
Una
time.
prenda de ropa tirada en el
There
suelo.
were pieces of clothing left at the scene.
La ropa era de alguien que se había
Precisely.
disuelto.
It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used to
Como que la comadre
disguise himself at
despistada.
the banquet.
Dejando como pavo de Navidad y ya ni cuenta. ¿Cómo que qué? ¿Qué? ¿Qué? No estoy entendiendo, chicos. What?
But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired.
¿No fue simplemente una pelea entre tus padre y Jax? No podemos descartar la intervención de una tercera
You're right.
persona.
We still don't know what happened. But my intuition tells me that we're on the right track to figuring it all out. I'm finally headed towards the truth.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned on Boss with zero warning. I think this third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, I must still offer a word of warning. Our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost his life trying to bring them to justice. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives. There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and
¿Qué pasa,
in line
Jones?
with
¿Qué
Boss's
pasa?
wishes
No me
to
la
step back
esperaba.
and give up on the case.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that himself. Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect anything in the end?
La bola 8. ¿Qué hizo la bola 8?
Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely getting by.
La bola 8 es
Nothing
muy
has
random
changed.
y es muy bastarda a veces.
Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly? I've never accepted that. Ever. Not since that day, and certainly not now.
Ustedes haciendo puro desmadre con la bola 8, mientras tanto aquí Navia está tomando toda su historia de, o sea, súper triste de su vida y de su pasado y de su padre y de su familia. Y ustedes
I want to find out
con
the
el
real
Apple.
answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls, for the victims, and for myself.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, demoiselle, I think you're also
Qué
ready
poca
to
manera,
take this
Apple.
on.
Bastardo desgraciado.
So you do know something else, Maloose.
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances case. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had
Maravilloso, oye, no
no
puede
more
ser
than
posible.
5 years left to live. And the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict, But once he passed away, all the danger would pass on to you. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side, and even told some members of Spina di Rosula about the details.
Vale.
But as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victims.
Right, so nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick to me.
A ver, pero de todos modos, aunque haya hecho ya eso, el padre ya han intentado matarla, así que... O sea, al diablo con esa información, sácalo a la luz.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss.
¿Limón de taquería? ¿Qué?
To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful was still far preferable than losing face in front of his daughter.
Ya van 2 veces. ¿A qué? Si los limones de taquería ninguno le sale el jugo.
So he chose to die in silence, so that he could protect me.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, Demoiselle.
Ay,
The boss
no
wanted
te
to hand to
pases,
you
Jobs.
was not a parasol, but a sword.
Pésame mis 10 pesos, me estafó.
If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer for the sake of everyone involved, I'm sure he'd be extremely proud.
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me straight? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now?
¿Te dio la oportunidad de elegir?
I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived out my life without a care in the world. But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me an easy way out. Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where synth is produced. Essentially, it's the enemy's headquarters. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the incriminating evidence he found. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still have to take several things into consideration.
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming in?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization that's been in operation for decades. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence we may be able to find inside, nor what people we may be able to capture. But a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war. The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also open ourselves up to full retaliation.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine authorities?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
Pues directo a Nubilet. Directo... No. Directo a Furina. Para que haga desmadre.
That's true. Seems my father... But things
Ay,
are
upsí, perdón.
different
Se me fue la
now.
mano.
It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with the disappearances case.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Maloose.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss and Demoiselle's will. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets, performing basic investigations, and waiting for the right time to come.
Thank you for all of that, Maloose. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy
Verdadero
must be quite
culpable.
familiar with Spina di Rosula, or at least have an informant planted here. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe the reactions of the synth vendors. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then someone must have given them the news. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down to 3 people. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was someone who understood Boss really well. Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus avoid capture this whole time. There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
¿Qué es la cofradía acá?
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it to grow to its
Es
current
esos.
size and
Son
profit.
esos. Son esos, son esos, son esos, son esos. Y te voy a decir por qué. Porque vimos cómo tenían ciertos golpes el Cabrier contra los, o sea, bueno, el Banco del Norte, que técnico es en donde están los Fatui. Y como tuvieron una bronca ya...
Mamá, escucho borroso. Mamá,
¡Me toman arroz! Me encanta ese odio. ¿Qué está diciendo? Ah, sí. Como tuvieron ahí una lucha ahí con Nobile y demás, pues quisieron desquitarse con la deuda que tenían con los Fatui, enculpando a Laimi.
In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around with a lot of business connections in the city.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us with plenty of support.
Me sabe re bien la historia, ala. ¿Sí? O sea, son mis teorías, digo yo. Un gusto conocer a la señorita, pero me tiro que debo dormir y tengo mucho sueño. Pégale a Jones porque me estafó. Que descanse, éxito en su stream. Muchísimas gracias, Irvinstar. Yo creo que vamos a estar, una media horita más. A ver, llegar unas... Ya llevamos 6 horas. 6 horas y media, tal vez, y así ya rompo récord personal. O sea, creo que mi récord personal era de 4 horas y media, pero bueno.
It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money to hunt down themselves.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically always plan one step ahead.
I see. These are all people who I communicate with quite regularly. To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most. It's almost too hard to believe.
Bueno, éxito merecido por hoy. Vale, Visa, descansa, duerme con los angelitos.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is extremely cautious.
Of course. And thank you, Malus. You've provided us with a lot of great information.
You're too kind, my lady. I'm just doing my duty. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame in Jacques' death. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson today. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make the necessary arrangements.
Oh, thank you so much, Malus. You really are the best.
A new case awaits, my dear partner.
Eso parece.
I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
Detalles del caso de Calas. En aquella noche lluviosa de hace 3 años, los asistentes al banquete escucharon 2 disparos. Cuando llegaron a la escena, Calas tenía un arma en la mano y Jack yacía muerto en el suelo, con un disparo de bala. Según el informe de aquel entonces, no había indicios de que alguien más hubiera estado en la escena del crimen, por lo que Calas fue declarado culpable de homicidio.